there was also a period of time that was extremely critical in terms of who just we are as black men, where there were images and things that were shown on TV that were just a symbol of the greatest systematic issue when it comes to racism in North America and across the globe, and also the theme of police brutality. And we've talked about this and we've mentioned how there was an expectation for friends and those relationships to show up, and that expectation didn't align with what actually happened in reality in some cases. So what I want to talk about, and you've alluded to a little bit, is what kinds of conversations were had during that time. And let's just really start with, how did you know, or what was the tell for you to be like, all right, this is a conversation that I have to have with this person, or that person. Like, what was that tell for you?
What was the tell? The silence. The silence was loud. The silence was loud, man. It was deafening. I had such a surreal experience during that time, man. I think, in the wake of the George Floyd killing and all of the outrage, everybody was saying something. If you're a black man, what your social media looked like was that everybody was saying something. You could scroll, you were saying something. You were dropping bars online, right? It was a traumatic experience. The whole world responded to that moment, right? There were news reports from across the planet, right? And if you're a black man and you were looking at your social, there was an obvious silence. There was an obvious silence, and it was loud as fuck. And that was the tell. I was like, okay, no, you cannot want to be in my life at any other point. And at this really fucking loud moment, you're silent. Nah, it was enraging, right? There was no other, there was, I think just like a passing, share of a post may have not ticked me off. Like, it may not have been like a thing where I was like, but I think just how egregiously silent it was like, nah, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Right. Because as someone who has a lot of quote unquote acquaintances or first level friends, as you would reference them, right? Like, these are people who, when culturally black things are popping, right, are usually kind of involved in some way or vocal in some way or participate in some way. And I think that's the juxtaposition that always sets me off, where it's like, because you can see it there. And I love that. I rarely have any issue with calling people out for loving black culture. I love that. I love black culture. I love Nigerian culture. I think that Nigerians are the funniest people on earth. I would never trade being black for anything ever. So if I love it, I can't beef anybody, black, white, blue, Asian, green, whatever, for loving it too. Because objectively, black people are incredible. Just you don't even have, we're incredible. So not participating in that, I think, is your loss. I love that for you. But as well, you gotta be just
There's something that comes with it. There's something that comes
exactly.
with it. Yeah,
exactly. And that was the tell for me. It's. I remember the day. I remember sitting on my floor and just nah, I couldn't continue in that with the world that way. I needed to introduce something else into the world to kind of make sure that we were correcting that, or at least having conversation about it. Yeah.
Did you feel that was a burden at any point?
Sorry,
what'd you say?
I said, what was it for you? But you asked the better question.
Oh yeah, I mean, I can go real quick. I don't even know if I'll leave this in or not, but for me, I think it was more gradual for me. When everything went down, I remember seeing the video. I deleted my Instagram because all the shares and all the posts, not that they made me feel some type of way, but to me, it just felt kind of useless. I was like, what is this? Like, what's actually going on? Like, what is this accomplishing? And yeah, I was feeling really annoyed. I kind of wanted to remove myself from everything. So I ended up deleting my Instagram. So for me, like, I don't know who was posting what. I don't know who shared to their story. I don't know who was saying anything. But maybe that was the tell for me, was like, okay, I deleted my Instagram. I know people were posting stories, but my phone from some of the homies was silent. My phone wasn't buzzing. And it was like when someone hit me up later to talk about something completely different. Like, we hadn't talked in a little bit. This had happened. And then next time they hit me up, there was like no reference or just acknowledgement for what had happened. I was like, oh, okay. And then maybe also being in those spaces where my other black friends were like saying something in a group chat, and I was like, oh, okay, like, no, like, maybe this is pretty messed up. Like, maybe this is something that was like, because for us, man, we can't turn it off. Like, I can post a story and then lock my phone, and the reality of it is that everything that I just posted about, I have to think about, whether it's conscious or subconsciously, as I'm living the rest of my day. I have to think about it if I'm going out at night. I have to think about it if, you know, I'm walking on the sidewalk and there's someone in front of me, and I have to purposely think, yo, slow down, because it might look some type of way, you know, like if you're walking too close to someone who's white on the sidewalk, like sometimes I have to think, yo, let me slow down, because, you know, this might come across some type of way, or whatever the case may be. Or if I'm in a store, making sure that I'm not really putting my hands in my pockets, you know, just things like that. Whereas someone else who's not black, I mean, you could post a story, lock your phone, and then you live the rest of your life, and none of that really matters. So for me, it was like, okay, there has to be some sort of acknowledgement of like, yo, I don't even know what to say to you. But like, yo, I'm sending you love. I actually tweeted that too. At one point I said, if you're not black and you're thinking, or you don't know what to say, you're kind of confused of what to say to your black friends, just think about if you were in a situation where you felt pain, hurt, fear, aggravation, anger, what would you want someone to say to you? And start there. I don't need you to come in my phone and be like, yo, I understand the trials of Martin Luther King. You know what I mean? Like, that's not what I need.
That's not what's needed right now.
I just need to know that, like, you know, if something were to happen to me, that you would be there and you would care. And I know, like, we've talked about this. I know that's like, it seems like such a giant undertaking for people, and no one wants to say something annoying, and no one wants to be canceled. But I think, like, when it comes to your friendships, just knowing that, you know, you could just start with love. That's the simplest thing. You just start with love, and all the other pieces of educating or whatever comes after that.